Good morning and welcome to Boston Outlook. I'm your host, Julee Marra. Via video chat this week, we are joined once again by Sean O'Brien, the president for Teamsters Local 25. Welcome back.
Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well. No complaints,
I know. Happy belated Thanksgiving.
Yep. Right back at you.
And, I was looking back. We talked in May, but that literally seems in some respects like it was yesterday. I know that that's like, oh my God, that was a lifetime ago because we're all been in quarantine and, trying to just keep our distance from everybody throughout this whole pandemic. But I feel like it did in some ways go by relatively quickly.
I think everybody has the same thought process. We want 2020 over with as soon as possible, personally and professionally. It's been rough.
It has been. And honestly, I don't know how folks like you, who have these positions where you oversee a large number of people, and the majority of who you oversee are actually essential workers. My gosh, I don't even want to ask you what a day looks like for you right now. I mean, it must be so drastically different than a year ago at this time.
Yeah, the world's definitely changed since March. Majority of our members are essential workers, whether it's at UPS, Stop and Shop, DHL, rubbish, trash industry, the liquor industry. It's challenging because we've got some issues, some workers that are not essential, and they were laid off. And trade show, which we were able to build a 1,000-person hospital in 5 days. Unfortunately, the trade show industry has taken a big hit along with some others. So it's been a little difficult. But the one good thing about the membership and the Teamsters Union, we're pretty resilient, and we'll bounce back. We always find a way. Thankfully, the COVID cases, although they were prevalent in some industries we represent, but unfortunately we lost 2 members to date, which it's two members too many.
Yeah.
But relatively, it's been difficult, to say the least.
For sure. I mean, and like I said, you see it on a much larger scale than the average person because of the work that you do. And it's it is so devastating. It also makes you stop and think about when life actually goes back to normal, there's going to be this big transitional time. I can just imagine where people are, I don't think everybody's just going to almost like the graduation cap, you throw it in the air and it's woohoo, we're back to life. No, we're not. It's going to be a gradual process that's going to take some time. And I think there's going to be some hidden effects that we haven't even thought about or even experienced due to kind of going against human nature for the last 8+ months.
Yeah, I think the new norm is going to be. I don't think it's ever going to go back to being normal. I think you're going to see, my own opinion, people will be wearing masks probably the rest of our lifetime. Despite whether there's a vaccine or not. It's difficult. It's difficult to predict. Because. You don't know how effective this vaccine is going to be and when it's going to be available to the general public. I mean, I think, my own opinion is we should be giving it to those folks that are, on the front lines every day. And but you just don't know what effect it's going to have. I mean, obviously, we've got the best scientists in the world. We've got the best people, that develop these vaccines. It's just a matter of, how long it's going to take and what the effect is going to be. I'm concerned for my members, like I said, the e-commerce, the Stop and Shop warehouses, deliveries of the world, picking up trash. I'm concerned that they're not going to be, it's not going to be available to them until, the spring, early summer. And we don't know that. There's a big meeting, I guess, on Pfizer Tuesday with the FDA emergency meeting to see what the plan is. So we'll see what happens. But I think, hopefully it works, and we can get back to some semblance of normalcy if that's possible.
I feel for the trash workers. I mean, on a good day, I mean, that's a tough job. But right now, I mean, you just don't know what you're walking into. Like, I like when I'm driving to work and I see them doing their thing, I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel so bad for them. They should be like boosted to the front of that list.
Yeah, they work very hard, and it's a dangerous job. It's one of the most dangerous jobs in the country. People really don't realize that.
They don't.
But, they're out there. They're out there in the elements. They're dealing with, they're dealing with needles. They're dealing with anything. So, I mean, they work hard. I mean, all of our members do. The UPS drivers and loaders and warehouse people, the Stop and Shop warehouse, Stop and Shop drivers. I mean, they're subject to interactions like we talked about earlier. All it takes is one person not to be following guidelines and not to be wearing a mask, and that potentially could infect not only the person but their families when they go home at night.
It's so amazing. I mean, we were like talking off the air this morning about that, and literally just this weekend, I had 2 encounters where folks weren't wearing masks, and I was like horrified. I kind of looked at one person like, aren't you forgetting something? I didn't say anything, but kept my distance and was like just in awe, because I mean, the reality is it's like once you cross the boundary of your driveway, you're supposed to be wearing a mask right now, like regardless of what you're doing or where you're going. And I think some folks are still, struggling with that. It is a mandate around here. You need to be taking it seriously.
Yeah, I think some people too, and it's probably in the not the majority of folks, but there's some people that really think this isn't real. And, all it takes is to go to a hospital or watch the news or have a loved one or a family member on a ventilator. And I think that would probably set in and change the opinion. But this thing is definitely real. It's having an impact everywhere, every aspect of life, whether it's work, personal, especially, what we're trying to achieve with our charity work within the communities. We're uncertain about, our autism event, which we've moved twice already. And we're hopefully optimistic in April, but it doesn't look that way. And unfortunately, a lot of these charities are taking a hit because of this. And, the one thing that's certain is that we need to make certain that we're probably, in more demand as far as, being charitable and helping people. The one good thing about a bad situation like a pandemic, it tends to bring the best out in people as far as, someone in need or a family in need. You always can judge, character when it's tough times. And, we've got our Teamsters Toy Drive program that we kicked off prior to Thanksgiving week. And it's been going great. People are very generous. And, we have to dig deeper this time. And people are hurt. People are hurt financially. With the unemployment, I think it was all-time high over the summer. Despite, people getting unemployment and stimulus money, it still doesn't help. It's not like going to work and being eligible for overtime and everything else. And right now, people are feeling the effects of the pandemic is financially.
Absolutely. I wanted to back up for just a second. I know you mentioned the autism gala, and I do apologize. My 3-year-old is downstairs having a grand old time for herself right now.
That's good stuff.
That's the extraneous noise in the background, but the beauty
you'll be able to see her. She's probably throwing a nice flower party.
Yeah. When we finally get to, have the show on the radio, get to just project the video, then yeah, absolutely. She's just having a ball for herself. So I wanted to go back to the autism gala. So did you have to postpone it from what was scheduled for January?
Yeah, so we postponed it last year. I believe it was March 23rd. We were supposed to have it. Not last year, this past year.
Yeah.
But then we rescheduled. We got a date in January. And fortunately, the autism event has grown significantly. We had to move it to a new venue at the convention center, which the convention center obviously shut down.
Right.
So we've actually moved it. We moved it to January. of 2021, and then we just actually moved it out to I think it's April 3rd or whatever the date may be. But it's not looking like we're going to end up having it because, again, you don't know when the vaccine is going to be available, and you don't know when the public gatherings will be relaxed a little bit more, and we can have a bunch of people at a venue. So it's going to more than likely it's going to have an effect on us being able to raise money this year for autism. But we find a way, we grind it out. Luckily, we've been very successful, and we can maintain our commitments to the programs that we give to. So we'll see what happens. But it's tough. It's it's a good night. It's a great cause, and it's unfortunate that we can't have it. But we'd rather have everybody healthy and safe.
Absolutely. I know a lot of, other charities and organizations, there actually have been virtual galas over the last couple of months. I've seen them, that Citizens Inn, they come on my show here a few times, and they managed to pull something off somehow. I don't know. Everybody's getting creative. Everybody's thinking outside of the box. And I'm so excited that you're able to pull off the toy drive, because conversations I've had with other folks from other organizations, there's just been different barriers based on, however they're able to execute things. It just, for whatever reason, isn't able to happen. But you guys are able to do this. So how is this working? I mean, I'd imagine that there's some sort of change because of the whole COVID protocol.
Yeah, I mean, there's so what has basically happened is we used to do everything live, as far as go pick up the toys, distribute them, which we're still doing. And people have to, when they come down they used to be able just to come down to the Union Hall between the hours of 8:30 to 4:30 and drop off toys. Now, we have to make an appointment, and or they can't enter the building until it's clear and we comply with the guidelines. So that's been a little bit difficult, but we're getting it done. We're getting it done. We've got a great group of volunteers, retirees. It's actually it makes you feel good, because you see not only the generosity of people, and it's not just Teamsters that are donating, our members, but it's people in the community. And I think we're on track to have one of the most successful years in past history, just because of the situation and the nature of it.
So what happens once they drop off the toys? Like, do you have to let them sit in a spot where nobody touches them for a certain amount of time?
What we're doing now is, so we once the toys are dropped off, we have bins, and they're all age appropriate with with toys for what ages, and we get the building sprayed in that area once per week. So it's very clean in here. So we're not too concerned about that stuff. The biggest concern for us is being able to get as many toys as we possibly can and find a way to distribute them as safe as possible. And we'll do that. I mean, it's no different. Our UPS drivers are out there, DHL drivers, delivering e-commerce all day. And it's although it's brutal times now for those folks, everybody's still getting goods and services, so we're going to make certain that we do the same.
For sure. So the DHL and UPS, I mean, they must be talk about the overtime hours now, especially going into the holiday season. And I feel like just the influx of people wanting to just buy stuff online. Even this past weekend, the whole idea of Black Friday was completely different than what we're used to. I went out just to do a few errands that were, nowhere near a mall, nowhere really near a big box store. It was just, kind of local stuff. And the traffic, I was out for 2 hours. I think I covered probably 20 miles in terms of where I was running my errands. And that's unheard of on Black Friday. Usually you're stuck in lines of traffic before you can even get to your store. Yeah,
I mean, it's e-commerce definitely has changed the world we live in. And our drivers, whether it's at UPS and warehouse workers that support the loading and unloading of the trucks. The UPS drivers, DHL drivers, unfortunately, they are working harder than ever. It's culmination of the e-commerce, Amazons of the world, people shopping online, people working remotely, doing more and more shopping, and it's put a very taxing toll on our members. We're trying to get UPS to hire as many people as they possibly can to lighten the workload, but there's such a demand. Our drivers are working, 60 to 70 hours in some cases, which is extreme. You can only do that for a certain amount of time. So we're working hard on trying to fix some of those problems and lessen the hours. But you look at it two ways. It's providing goods and services, and our folks at UPS, although they're overworked, they're making a good living, but they're earning it.
In some respects, too, I mean, on the flip side of all of this, they're hiring and looking for people to go to work for them, which
right.
is, not a lot of places are hiring right now, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like that, it's good that folks that may be out of work could look
right.
in this direction to maybe pick up.
We've been encouraging. So we probably have about 10% of our membership laid off right now. And we've been encouraging, as many laid off members, because look, the one good thing is you can go to work at the UPS of the world, Stop and Shop warehouses, DHLs of the world, the rubbish industries, and it's some of that work's very hard, so. But the one good thing is you can maintain your health insurance and your pension contributions. So we've been encouraging as many members as possible. Luckily, we have 248 diverse employers. No, not everything's the same. We don't do the same thing. So, like I stated before, we represent everybody from airline pilots to zookeepers and everything in between. So we do have a little bit more of opportunity to place people in work if they're hurt. So that's a good thing. And like we said, hopefully things will come back to normal or as close to normal as possible at some point in time to get these folks all back to work.
I know. I hear what you're saying, though, too, about like life, after the pandemic. Is it really going to be what we think of as normal, so to speak? I mean, I think there'll be a new normal, much like there probably was after that whole Spanish flu pandemic back in 1918. And I want to do a little bit more research on that whole thing, because I want to see I'm interested more in the transitioning out of the pandemic, so to speak. Like it seems like almost in the blink of an eye, you entered into this phase of a pandemic, but to come out of it takes a lot longer. And I don't know, I guess maybe I'm into the whole social aspect of this effect, So I want to remind folks of who you are. We're chatting with Sean O'Brien, the president of Teamsters Local 25, and we brought you in mainly to talk about the annual toy drive, which is underway. You guys know how to make things happen, COVID-19 or no COVID-19, and we talked about how folks need to go by appointment only to drop off the toys. So tell us what that process is. How do they sign up? Do they have to call?
Yeah, I mean, you can go on our website or our social media page, Teamsters Boston, and there's directions on how to donate. I think you just come in by appointment. You can call, and we have people managing what we call the day room, which is a drop-off site located right at 544 Main Street, Charlestown, across from Sharaf Center. We do have a lot of toy boxes in the majority of the employers we represent. So, we're doing daily pickups there as well. But the best bet is just to make an appointment here between the hours 8:30 to 4:30. We'll have someone come right out, grab it from your car, so you don't even have to enter the building, and we'll take it from there. We obviously register everybody that gives. We have to track, number one, the generosity of people, but also make certain that, God forbid, someone is, we can determine if someone was positive and who that was. And knock on wood, hasn't happened.
Severe contact tracing, right?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole other job in and of itself, keeping track of all of these things. And I'm sure there's a bunch of, Google forms that you're filling out day in and day out, right?
So you're filling out forms all day, and then your life has become a permanent Zoom meeting. So like I think we've said before, some of us have a face for radio, not video.
But I love that we have the option to see each other, because typically this would be done, like, I feel like I've had you on the phone when you're, out and about doing your Saturday morning thing, going into the drive-thru to get a coffee or whatever. And we still made it happen over the phone, which is great. But I actually like this because it feels more like we're able to, like, do a show, even though you're at your house, I'm at my house, and yeah, so it is kind of nice. But then that's the whole, like, work-life boundary. Like, where do you draw that line, right? I mean, the working from home thing.
It's very difficult because we're used to, we're used to doing in-person meetings with employers, whether it's, or members as well, whether it's negotiations, grievance hearings, arbitrations. And when you have to do, it's difficult to get the personal aspect of a Zoom meeting, especially when, number one, organizing and getting people on these Zoom calls sometimes like herding squirrels, and it's difficult. Phones are going off, and dogs are barking in the background. Right. We're making it work one way or the other. But the unfortunate part of this is that we still have a lot of work to do that we can't do over Zoom, like reinvest in the needs of the community. So that has to be face to face, person to person, and we're making it work. Especially with the toy drives and the autism event and everything else that we try and do. We recently were in Minnesota supporting a charity for soldiers for homes for soldiers, I should say, and it was great. It was a little different because you had to wear masks and everything else, but these men and women coming back from Afghanistan and some of them severely handicapped as a result of it. We were out there supporting homes being built. So great programs. We still have to do that work. We can't do that stuff remotely.
Right. What brought you out there specifically?
Another Teamsters Local supports that program, but their anchor office, their home is in Fall River.
Oh.
So it was important. They have, they have a lot of projects going out there. So, we were able to donate and go see for ourselves exactly what's getting done, and pretty inspiring. So, as far as the remote work in the business, we can do that, but we still have to be out there in the communities, giving back as much as we can.
Right.
And our members are very generous.
Absolutely. I mean, we've been doing this, I don't know how long now. I lost track of how many times you've been on the show. I would like to say you're on about 3 to 4 times a year. And if I've been doing this now it's over 10 years. So you all do the math, right? You've been on a number of times. We've had
40 times,
a lot of conversations here. And really, I think the work, if I went back and heard the first show that we did together, which I have all of them, so I might do this, I know that the progression of the work that you've done within the community has really just expanded over time, and nothing stops you, like I said, not even this, pandemic and so forth. What else do you want to make sure that we cover? I mean, I know that the autism thing, is hopefully happening in April, but that's, up in the air. That's a signature event of your, work that you do. So,
I would say this. I mean, the world we live in, we've changed, and it's probably not going to be, back to normal. But, our core values as what we do, not only in the workplace, but in the communities. And this isn't just a union issue where we're delivering toys to just union members who are hurt. We're delivering it to anybody that needs it. The same holds true with our autism events. All I would say is just if you see the UPS person, or if you're shopping at Stop and Shop, or you see one of the rubbish people, just say thank you. That's all we ask. I mean, they're working very hard, and sometimes we lose sight of the fact on why we have everything we have. And, it's because of the essential workers. Our healthcare workers, the nurses and doctors, frontline, they do a great job. And I think sometimes, people don't pay them the respect that they should. Same with our, frontline public safety people. So I would say the one thing that I would encourage everybody to do is, be as charitable as you can at this point in time. And thank the people that are making our lives easy in a difficult situation, or easier, I should say.
Yeah, it makes you have a new appreciation for like supply chains and that whole thing too. Like you never really stop and think about these things. I don't know. Maybe I just had a lot of time for reflection on some of this stuff, and I hope that everyone else did too, for the reasons that you just described. Because there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that people don't realize.
Right. I mean, I think idle time working remotely is expensive. Just shopping online and getting things delivered. Just remember who's delivering it.
It is. It definitely is. And like I've gone in waves. Like there are some nights that I'm just like click, click, click. Okay, good. I got this done or whatever it is. And then there's other times that I like didn't spend a dime. And then I'm like, all right, well, I think it's all kind of balanced out because of those days that I like spent so much. But yeah, now that the holidays are creeping back, I mean, definitely there's that increased demand for
makes for interesting dialogue around the kitchen table.
Oh yeah. Or just, I don't know how that arrived, I want to know about the cardboard industry. I mean, they must be like, I don't know. Every time I turn around, there's a box. Like,
oh yeah,
God knows where.
I think they're doing very well at this point in time.
I would think so. Which then leads to the recycling too. I don't know if Teamsters have any part in that. I know that you do the trash pickup, but
yeah, our rubbish companies all have some aspect of recycling involved there. So it's like I said, more boxes, more trash, more recycling.
For sure. My whole recycle bin is like overflowing these days. And crush the cardboard. I know it takes that extra like step, but like you could just see like the boxes had taken up like the whole back of the recycle truck. So crush the boxes.
You're gonna empty those boxes quick and get rid of the evidence.
No kidding. That's what I try to do. Although I let the box decontaminate a little bit. Like I know that they should be wearing masks and everything. And most of them are wearing masks. But I still, I don't know. This is just my own personal thing. Like I have to just let things decontaminate for like at least a couple days before I touch it. I have a good friend who literally takes the spray Lysol and sprays the whole box before she opens it. I'm like, all right, like I'm pretty bad. That just went to like a new height. Like save the Lysol for something else.
Yeah, new level.
A new level, exactly.
That's the new norm.
It is the new norm. All right, we got about 2 minutes left, Sean. So what do you want to make sure our folks listening this morning take away?
Couple things. We really appreciate everybody's generosity. We appreciate everybody's volunteerism, which is it's been great. I would just take a second to reflect on what we talked about earlier, and just make sure we're thanking the people that are making our lives a little bit easier during these difficult times. And just because you haven't been affected directly or indirectly, take precautions and make certain that everybody's being safe. And again, we're going to do as much as we can to reinvest in the communities, make sure no families go without during this holiday season. And this is probably the most favorite times of my life when you actually can give back to people that may not be as fortunate as you are.
So the toy drive, that is the big push for the next couple weeks through December 16th.
Yeah, I mean, but we'll be out there probably well into Christmas and beyond if need be.
So again, just to reiterate, protocols are much different this year. So it is by appointment only. I keep wanting to say invitation only. This is your invitation right here.
We're gonna invite everybody that wants to come down and donate a toy, but you have to call first.
Call first. This is your invitation.
You're all invited.
Right. Everybody's invited, social distanced though. Yes, and by appointment only. So hours are Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, Saturday, 8 to noon. And tell us once again where folks have to drop off. 544
Main Street, Charlestown, the back of the Union Hall, which is referred to as the day room. You can't miss it. And we have one of our the head of our retiree chapter. We call him Santa's little helper. This is his deal. He's I always refer to him as the oldest living Teamster ever.
Is this Joe? Yeah.
Yeah.
I had his name written down.
Yeah. So he is very passionate, and he does a great job with the program. I mean, I think we start talking about Teamster toy drives around June. He wants to make sure everything's in place. So it's on his mind always.
I love it. Well, Joe has an invitation to the show next time. We'll get Joe on. I want to hear from him.
He's a comedy show, that's for sure. A great guy. Anything we ask him to do, he's been running the program for the last 10 years, and he does a tremendous job.
Well, we'll all need that comedic relief once we get into 2021, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, with that said, I know that this is going to be a success no matter what. I mean, you all have everything in place, COVID-19, no COVID-19, for a successful holiday season for so many. One thing I did want to ask before I let you go is the age range of the toys. I know all ages, but where do we kind of cap it?
Well, I mean, I think we just, there's really no cap. It's, people donate from 0 to 14, 15. But if there's older toys or older kids, I mean, there's a lot of children, all age groups need help. So we don't cap it. Whatever the generosity is, we appreciate and accept it.
I feel like this is probably my own personal ignorance, but like I always think of those ages from like 5 to maybe like 8 or 9, and then forget that there's like infants and like toddlers in that group. And so once I had my own daughter, I really was like, oh, I should be buying things that fit that age group, because I have my own kid that's that age, and I'm sure there's families that are in need that have kids that are her same age. So that light bulb went off. But then on the flip side, the whole teenage, preteen, that whole age range, I don't want to say that it gets neglected, because I don't have, anything to back this up. Again, it's just me and like my own personal thoughts. So I would say if I had to advise anybody, I would focus on those two groups, because I feel like the majority of folks focus on that 5 to 8, 9 range. So just my own personal.
I think you're right. And we've never really, I don't think we've looked at it that way, but maybe we'll take a look and see what is actually needed, and if need be, change strategy in the middle, and because we are getting all the toys for the younger kids and stuff like that, but we lose focus, I think, sometimes on the 13 to 15-year-olds, where you may need bikes, you may need Chromebooks, you may need different things. So especially with this online schooling, maybe we're going to see a lot different. It'll look a lot different this year.
For sure. Well, I always love when you come on the show here, and this will be the last time, I think, for 2020, which thank gosh in some way, right?
I think we all want 2020 over.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to have our next conversation in 2021. I wish you all the best, personally, professionally. I hope you have a great holiday season. We've been chatting with Sean O'Brien, the president for Teamsters Local 25. Thank you so much again.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.